What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is JeffLightsyJr. Here with Black Ball Channel, Victory Formation. Hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Yo, hold on. What's going on? Make sure my volume is good to go. Make sure my volume's good to go. You guys can hear me. Make sure you guys can hear me. Okay, because we're going to be talking about College Game Day is coming. Jackson State College Game Day is coming to It is a good time happening. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be awesome. I cannot wait. So sit back, relax, hit that thumbs up button and we're right back after the bumper. What's up, good people? What is up, good people? I think we finally got the audio issues. I don't know what was happening, but the call lines are open right now. 727-731-8723, 727-731-8723. I'm taking all calls because today we're talking about College Game Day. And if you don't know, now you know College Game Day is coming to Jackson State. I don't know, make sure you guys can hear me. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Let me know if you guys can hear me. I want to make sure all the audio is good. I think we finally figured out what was going on. I have no idea what was happening with all my sound, but now I think we're good to go. College Game Day is coming to Jackson State. College Game Day is coming to none other than Jackson State. They're coming to see the Jackson State versus Southern game. It is supposed to be over 500 recruits in the building. Coach Prime's in the building. Coach Eric Dooley for Southern. This is going to be epic. Game Day, Reese Davis, Desmond Howard, who's already on campus at Jackson State, Kirk Herbstreit, Lee Corso, and Pat McAfee are all supposed to be there. This is epic. This is something you don't want to miss. This is something that's never happened in the history of Jackson State. This is only by record, from what I understand, only the fourth time it has happened for any HBCU event, the first since the 2021 start of the MEAC SWAC Challenge down in Atlanta. It's the first time they're coming to JSU. And I want to show you guys something, right? I want to, because you guys know how I like to get deep. Come in. Let me know who you are. Let me know who you are. Oh, I see. Let me know who you represent. Marquand. Hey, shout out to Marquand, man, because Marquand be sending me the stuff. He be letting me know what's happening. He always telling me I'm wrong when I make predictions against JSU, and 99% of the time he's right, but that is what it is. They're saying they're already in Jackson. Yes, they're already in Jackson. Desmond Howard is checking out practices. The 1991 Heisman Trophy winner out of Michigan, Desmond Howard. This is a live show, so be able to see. Here go Marquand, man. What I tell you, you turn them 3 field goals and the touchdowns, the 2 turnovers and the touchdowns. It's a blowout. I get it, but you can't. Marquand, what you can't do is turn field goals and the touchdowns because the team didn't do it. And that's what Prime was kind of mad about Shador. He said, you got points on the board, don't give the ball away. You got to score touchdowns. And that is why I think the game against Southern is interesting, because Southern can score points. Now, they've been able to score points against teams not named Jackson State. And we know Jackson State's a little bit different than most other teams. But I think having a Southern game, first of all, Southern, Jackson State, they're rivals. And you guys will get mad at me. First of all, let me know who you are, where you're from, and what school you represent. Who you are, where you're from, what school you represent. Where you're from, where you at, and what school you represent. Because you guys got mad at me last year. What did I tell y'all? I said last year my favorite band is Southerns. The Human Jukebox is my favorite band. The Human Jukebox is my favorite band, and folks was mad at me. But hey, I got to call it like I see it, and I think the Human Jukebox is fire. Now, what I don't like, I like the Human Jukebox a lot. What I don't like are comments like this. So I want to go ahead and show you, because I posted this the day the game day announced that they were coming to JSU. This is over on my YouTube channel, JeffLightssyJr. If you don't subscribe to the channel, JeffLightssyJr. It's live from Jackson State. This was the day they announced that they were coming. But there was one particular comment that stood out to me, and we got to stop this. Where is it at? Where is it at? This is big time. Did they delete the comment? I wonder if they deleted it. Oh, okay. Here it is. It's all the way down here at the bottom. If you look, let me. Can I? There we go. Yeah, I gotta zoom in a little bit. This very last comment by Mr. Jermo Ali, and he might be in here. Mr. Jermo, come on out, man, come on out, because we got to discuss this very last comment at the bottom. You see Veronica, we explained to her what College Game Day is because she didn't know what it was, and that's okay. A lot of people don't. But Mr. Jermo Ali said, "Happy the white man is shining a little light on JSU. That's what's up." Okay, let's address this comment first. And then I want to make sure you guys get in here, call that number if you want to talk, if you want to chop it up. But here's the problem with that comment from Mr. Jermo. All right, shout out to you guys. We got JSU Tigers from Atlanta. We got Atlanta in the building, Jackson, Mississippi in the building, Juice from Los Angeles in the building. Marquand saying the game's going to be 42-10, and we're going to discuss the scores and what we think also. Go ahead and put your score predictions, Jackson State. But let's talk about Mr. Jermo Ali's comment, because this comment bothered me. See, here's the thing. I get it. You know, we live in a system of white supremacy, and there's a lot of that stuff going on, and I get that. And I'm not saying that that's not a thing. I'm not saying the fact that College Game Day's only been to HBCU games 4 times isn't kind of a byproduct of the entire system in America. I'm not getting all that, but I can get political with you another day. The problem with this comment is because we say all the time, "Oh, we got somebody in the lobby." But I want to make this here. Don't hang up, but I want to make this point. We say all the time that we want more attention. But then let me go ahead and add this, Calvin. Shout out to Calvin. But I'm gonna get to you, Calvin. 1 second. I just got to make this point. Then I'm gonna hear what you got to say. But we say all the time that we want to get a light shine on us. We want more attention. We want to be at the forefront. We want SWAC games or MEAC games or HBCU games to be talked about and recognized, like you talk about and recognize the ACC, like you talk about and recognize the SEC, like you talk about and recognize the Big 12, the Big 10, all these other Power 5 conferences. But then you got folks coming on here, and Jermo, you comment all the time and stuff, man. You come on here and say stuff like this. Why? What does this do? You know what Game Day? Do you know the average viewers? Game Day gets on average over 2 million viewers every single episode. On average, over 2 million. One, I think the Jackson State Game Day will be one of the highest rated game days this season. That's my prediction. 2, you know, if 2 million people get a chance to not only hear about Jackson State, but to hear about Southern, to hear about Texas Southern, to hear about the SWAC, to hear about Alcorn, to hear about Prairie View, to hear about the MEAC, to hear about the historically black colleges, and to continue to spread the message of what our people are doing, not just in the world of sports and not just in the world of higher education, but what we have contributed to this country. So when you say stuff like this, man, it's really sad. It's really sad, and it's unfortunate. And I really, really hope you get the satisfaction out of that comment that you wanted to get. I hope you got whatever you wanted, because it got 11 replies. But I hope you got whatever satisfaction that you wanted out of that comment, because it was just ignorant, and it quite honestly didn't make any sense. It quite honestly didn't help any kind of cause. It quite honestly didn't do anything for whatever point you were trying to make. What point that was, none of us still to this day still don't know. But it's unfortunate, and it was sad. So that's what I have to say. But call in. We got the call in open, 727-731-8723, 727-731-8723. We had somebody on. They went ahead and hung up. My bad. I just had to get that quick point out. But I am accepting all calls, and I'm taking a look at all your comments. It's one of the comments. Oh, what is going on? My computer is kind of going crazy over here. It says he's just a troll. He says negative stuff under every JSU related video. I didn't know that. That's actually kind of funny. Never hate, just wait your turn. And that's the thing. I think every school, every program, and not just in the SWAC, not just in the MEAC, but across the country, every program has its peaks and valleys. Every program does its own thing. Every program goes through trials and tribulations. And you go through times when you're on top, and you go through times when you're at the bottom. A lot of big-time programs have more times on top than the bottom, but they still go through the bottom. Whether you're talking about Alabama pre-Nick Saban, now since Nick Saban, they've had 13 years, 14, 15 years of pure excellence. But before him, they had a lot of mediocrity. We got somebody on the lines. Let's go ahead and take it in. I think we got Calvin. Calvin, you're on the line with Jeff. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Jeff?
What's going on, buddy? What you got on your mind?
Reviewing that game last week.
Okay.
I mean, Jackson State. Well, okay. Let's put the elephant in the room. They're always going to be that crab in a bucket people with that same mentality of they don't want to see somebody make it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you. I agree.
It's disheartening sometimes to see some of our fellow brothers and sisters just trying to, for no reason at all. Like, I bet that if that was his school, he wouldn't be saying it.
Absolutely. I bet you're right. I bet you're right, too.
Yeah, I never understand that. But anyway, I mean, like, end of the day, I want all of us to shine.
Absolutely.
I mean, if people speak about it like, oh, this is Jack. If I'm not mistaken, Southern's playing in the game, too. College Gameday, the game is coming, you know what I'm saying? So Southern will get some shine, too, right?
The Southern's gonna get a lot of shine. Like you said, the Jackson State not playing themselves. It's not a scrimmage. It's not a spring game. Like the helmets, when College Gameday comes to a school, they put both schools' helmets up there. They talk about both programs. Now, obviously, they'll feature the school whose campus that they're on, but they're gonna talk about the program, Southern. They're gonna talk about the SWAC. They're gonna talk about HBCUs. I'm like, this is a momentous occasion. So I completely agree.
Well, I actually mispronounced Southern's name. It's pronounced Sutton.
Oh, man. You guys let her do that, man.
hey, but anyway, though, it's call a spade. Southern doesn't have the players to beat us.
Okay. Now we talking football. Why you say that? Why don't you think Southern got the players? Southern been playing good, by the way. Southern's on like a 3 or 4 game winning streak.
Who have they played? Who have they played?
They beat Alcorn during that streak. I think want to say they beat Prairie View during that streak. They beat VUL. It's not that good, but yeah.
They beat Prairie View. I give them the credit for that. That was a solid win. But Alcorn's not playing that good. And they played 2 high schools. This is called it is. I think me and you play stuff right now for them schools. I mean, but like here you go though. Like actually, when it comes down to, I'm looking at quarterback, and I don't trust Southern's quarterback. If you want to beat Jack State, I mean, they're gonna. You're not a Bashawn
McCray fan. You're not a fan. You don't think he can get the job done?
No.
Okay, I got a question real quick. I'm gonna let you elaborate, but I got a question. Who's better in your opinion, El Hodge Malik over there at Campbell or Bashawn McCray? Because El Hodge Malik, he was able to make some plays. Now, he wasn't able to make a whole lot. They only scored 14 points, but he was able to make some plays, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, I could argue that Malik Hodge is better, and I could argue that McCray is better, but I'm going to be biased. I would say Malik Hodge is better because he played better competition. And also because the way their offense runs, it kind of it helps him out in his game.
I can understand.
It doesn't make him. I don't think he's like he'll be the best if you want him to throw the ball 50 times a game type of quarterback.
I can.
The same thing McCray's doing.
I can dig.
But what I'm saying, Jack State faces a lot of press, a lot of cover zero. In cover zero, you got to make accurate throws and one-on-one coverage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you gotta identify where that blitz is coming from quick. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't have time to go 1 progression, 2 progression, 3 progression. No, you might have 2 reads, and you got to give it that ball quick. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. You got to make one last quick point because we got some other people want to get on. I want to ask you before you hop off. Score prediction. One last quick point and a score prediction.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna be no butt whooping. I'm gonna say probably like 30-14, somewhere around there.
30-14. Okay. 30-14. JSU comes out on top, man. I appreciate you calling in, man. Make sure you do it again.
I'll take it easy, bro.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you so much. You can call in. Get in on the action. We got some more folks that want to come in. We got put your score predictions in the chat. Also, you can call in. But so he made an interesting point there. He talked about how He doesn't think Rashawn McCray, and Marquand also said the same thing. He said, if you don't have the quarterback, and Calvin also has talked about how JSU, and Coach Minter talked about JSU plays a lot of like the 85 Bears. They put everybody at the line. They let their corners go one-on-one. And in order to beat JSU, I think you have to have a couple of things. One, you have to have an elusive quarterback, because JSU does a lot of 5-man pressures, 6-man pressures. They're just attacking the ball. The 4-down linemen can get back there, but they also they have an attack style defense. And so therefore you have to have a quarterback that's able to make a guy miss. We saw El-Haj Malik make a couple of guys miss in a phone booth, like Aubrey Miller, straight up, had him a couple of times, missed them. Niles Gaddy had him a couple of times. Like, it was probably about 4 or 5 missed sacks in the Campbell game, simply because Malik was a really good he's really elusive, right? So you got to have a quarterback that can move. 2, you have to have receivers that can get open. You have to have guys. Campbell had a couple of guys early in the game, now not so much late in the game, or late in the game towards the very, very end, but early in the game, and that's how they scored their first touchdown. They had a couple of guys get open, a couple of guys, because of the 4 or 5, the 5, 6, and 6-man pressures and all the blitzes that JSU does. It's hard to run the ball. And so when it's hard for you to run the ball traditionally, meaning with a running back, power run game, stretch run game, all that stuff, it's very hard, because they have good guys that can tackle in space. Barron Hobson, Aubrey Miller, Cameron Silman, Craig Hill, Nugget sticks his nose in there. So they have guys that can tackle in space and do really, really good. Isaiah Bolden does really good at tackling. So you have to have guys that can win one-on-one matchups on the outside and get open, because JSU plays man essentially the entire game. It's like, our guys are better than your guys is how they play. And does Southern have enough guys? Does Southern have enough guys to be able to get open? Does Southern have enough guys that can win one-on-one matchups against Nugget, against Isaiah Bolden, against Travis? You know, the slot guys that are going to be covered by the safeties, the Shilohs, the Camerons. Do they have guys that can be able to get open? That is a question I don't know, because Southern has struggled at times on offense. We saw in the Texas Southern game, they got skunked. And Texas Southern, now granted, you could say is the first early games of the season, but they got skunked in the Texas Southern game, 24-0. And it's hard for me, it's going to be hard for me to choose a team to beat Jackson State when they have a 24-0 loss. Now, you could say Texas Southern is a good team. Texas Southern has an impressive win over Alcorn, Texas, during their homecoming. Texas Southern has a solid team. Texas Southern has a quarterback who may be, the second best in the SWAC, or the second best HBCU quarterback in the entire country. But get beat 24-0, it's hard for me to say that you can compete with JSU. Not for the simple fact. It's simply for the fact that the Texas Southern defense was able to hold you to 0 points. It's not because I don't think your offense, your defense could possibly have some success against Shador and Savion or whatever. Like, I don't know how great your chances are in that way. But the fact that the Texas Southern defense was able to hold you to 0 points, was able to hold you scoreless, was able to have its way with you, was able to dominate you. Now, granted, you've had other performances, had other really good performances against other solid teams in the SWAC. And you're looking like, maybe the second or third best team in the entire SWAC. But the second best team is FAMU, record-wise anyway. And FAMU, JSU beat them by 50 points. Now, granted, I don't expect them to go out and beat everybody by 50 points. And then you had a game where you got skunked 24-0. It's tough, man. That is tough. That is tough. Now, let me look at some of your comments. It says, if JSU plays South Carolina State in the Celebration Bowl, they need to bring a double team Shaq. Now, that's a good point, because Shaq is having his way this season. Shaq is balling out. Shaq is an NFL player. Coach Prime said it after the Celebration Bowl last year that Shaq Davis for number one. He's 6'5". He's a receiver. He just had a game against North Carolina Central where he went for 3 touchdowns, over 115 yards through the receiving, 8 catch. I think he had 8 for 116 and 3 touchdowns, 2 or 3 touchdowns. So Shaq Davis is a baller. Like, we're not taking that away from him. He is a stud. He's a baller. But maybe JSU feels like they can go one-on-one with Travis following Shaq. Now we're getting ahead of ourselves, because South Carolina State has to take care of the MEAC, and Jackson State has to take care of their games in the SWAC. But if you're just looking ahead and you're projecting a Celebration Bowl rematch, that is something that is going to be an interesting matchup. An interesting matchup. We got It's Love to Boom first and foremost always. Shout out to the Jackson State double team Shaq. Travis Now, I want to talk. Travis is a different level type of athlete. Like, even though he only got the ball a couple of times, and even Coach talked about they tried to force feed him and get too cute in the end zone, I see why you sometimes try to get too creative, try to get too cute with a player like Travis, because Travis is next level. Oh, I thought we had somebody in the lobby that decided, oh, do we got somebody? Oh, they went ahead and left. You can call in. You can call in a number. Numbers on the screen if you want to get in here. Numbers on the screen if you want to get in here. But Travis is a different type of athlete. And when it's like when you're someone like Bartoloni, you got all the different weapons on offense, right? You got your Dallas Daniels, who is just uber productive. I can almost tell you what Dallas's stats are going to be every single game, because he's reliable. He has great hands. He knows how to get open. And he's the most trustworthy receiver so far. I would love to see more Malachi Wideman. Now, JSU fans and folks close to the program, you can tell me, why don't you think Malachi's playing more? He's off suspension. I think he's the most talented receiver. Like, all of those things go into was removed from the meeting. Oh, here we go. Oh, we got somebody on the call line. Let's see if we got an answer. What's going on? You're on with Jeff.
Like, all of those things go into
DeGratier from Atlanta.
What's going on, DeCartier? What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Let me turn my volume down here.
I got you. We got a bunch of call-ins. But, yeah, go for it. What's on your mind?
No worries. Hey, I want to ask you and your audience this question.
Let's go.
And I was just watching Coach Simmons' video that just came out maybe an hour or two ago.
Okay.
He was talking about Jackson State.
Shout out to Coach Simmons, by the way. Was that?
Yeah, he was talking about Jackson State. And I'm listening to it. It was a great video. And then he said how Jackson State is changing all of HBCUs. So this is my question for you and your audience. I'm gonna give you a little bit of background about myself.
I got you.
I'm personally touring all the HBCUs across America.
Awesome.
And I'm sitting here looking at the schools, and I want to see the impact on the neighborhoods and what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go look at these other schools, I watch all the sports videos and how Jackson State is doing all this. I love what they're doing at Jackson State. I love what Coach Prime is doing. I'm a FAMU grad. I love all that's going on. Don't want to discount anything they're doing. But I want to ask you and your audience, what type of impact do you think this is having for HBCUs? And I'm gonna say this. We have HBCUs that have no athletic programs. We have HBCUs with no football teams. We got HBCUs that are closing, such as Barbara Scotia. We got Bennett College, was a women's liberal college. We got Payne.
Absolutely. We got some more callers, but I want to answer your question. But I appreciate the call, and I'm gonna answer you. So stick around, just make sure you listen. But I appreciate you calling in.
Hey, have a good one. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate you. So what he said was, what impact are HBCUs having? And let's just talk about Jackson State. And I'm gonna bring in this next call, but I'm gonna finish my point. Caller, I'm gonna get to you in 1 second. What he said, what are the impact of Jackson State? Let's talk about Jackson State. Let's talk about it. Well, Jackson State had a $30 million economic impact on the city of Jackson just last year. Like, that's the impact. Like, if bringing $30 million to your city, if that's not an impact, I don't know what is, right? So, and then also when you talk about the impact that they're having across the country, is that they're highlighting HBCU culture. And so therefore, if you don't live in Mississippi, if you live in Chicago, if you live in California, if you live in Canada, if you live in London, you're getting exposure to the HBCU culture. And even if you don't choose to go to Jackson State, hopefully you choose to go to an HBCU, and that is the impact that it's having for all HBCUs, and not just the one that happens to be on 1400 Lynch Street. Calling around with me, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going, Jeff?
Hey, how's it going?
So I'm gonna be brief. This is Rennie from New York.
What's going on, Rennie?
Brief. I'm good. Everything is good up north. So I'm gonna be brief. I'm gonna say this. First of all, last year, if you tell me Shador throws for one touchdown and the interception, that meant he lost the game.
Oh, absolutely.
That meant the game was lost last year.
Absolutely.
Right? Why do I say that? The pressure is not on Shador as much because, first of all, Alejandro Mata, a lot of people, they're not giving him the credit that he needs. Anytime last year you go to 20-yard line, there's a fourth down, they're going for it because they know they can't kick the ball.
Yes.
So right away they can get 3 points. Second, if South Carolina or any other team drop back like they did last year, Savion.
Absolutely.
Savion. And I think what they're going to do going forward, they're going to use Savion a lot more in the red zone.
Yes.
Because they know that not only does he run with power and strength, but he has good vision, and his footwork is very quick for a stocky guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's surprising to me. He's deceptively shifty. It takes more than one person to bring him down every single time he touches the rock. Yeah.
And he knows how to dance, right? And if you look at it, if you have 1 or 2 guys on him, he's going at least another 2-3 yards before he comes down, minimum, right? So it's a well-balanced team. So basically, for instance, I think Campbell played Jackson the best. They tried to take away Shador, but then it showed that the team is balanced. And that's why no other team going forward can beat Jackson State, because they're a lot more balanced than people give them credit for, even though Shador is the star.
I agree, man. I agree, Rennie. I appreciate the call, man. Be sure to call in again, man. Appreciate you calling in.
All right, one love.
One love, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. Now, yeah, Rennie makes great points, man. Like, because the thing is, like he said, this year's team, first of all, Mata, Squiggy, or whatever they call him, Mata is Slick, the unsung hero of this team. And the reason why I say that is he makes valid points. Last year, Jackson State would have beat UL Monroe if they have a Mata, right? Like some of the games that were close, they wouldn't have been as close if you have a Mata. You lost to UL Monroe 7-6. It's because you didn't have a kicking game. You couldn't make extra points every time. The punting game, the kicking game was all questionable. Now that's a lock. That's a wrap. You had your coach just come out and say that he thinks he has the best kicker in the country. And then you had no kicking game, you had no offensive line, and you had an inconsistent running game. You had to upgrade the line, you had to upgrade the kickers, and you had to upgrade the running backs. You did all three. And not only did you do all three, you got better on defense, better in the secondary. Guys became a year older, and you added Travis, and you added guys in the secondary and on the defensive line, so you have more depth. Now, you don't have the closer that you had in James Houston. I talked about this. You don't have the closer. Yes, 12-7. Excuse me. Sorry about that. 12-7. But you don't have the closer that you have in James Houston. And that is something, I talked about this in another video, but I was like, if I'm going to be nitpicky, the one thing that I wish JSU had was a closer, a guy that I know could go out there. Okay, we're winning. They're looking to drive the ball. They got to throw the ball the entire time, right? They're in the 2-minute drill type thing. You know how Aaron Donald closed the Super Bowl and made that play on Joe Burrow, or Aaron Donald closed the AFC Championship game, or NFC the Super Bowl against Joe Burrow, and then he closed the game against the 49ers, the AFC? I can't even think of the NFC, whatever they're in. Championship game against the 49ers, he closed that deal. It was the NFC Championship game. You have Von Miller. He was your closer. He's the closer for the Bills this year, right? So JSU, do they have that closer? You guys can tell me yes or no. But the addition of Savion Wilkerson, I said it back then and I'll continue to say it now. He was the biggest addition to any school this offseason. He was the most impactful transfer, and he's been the most impactful transfer so far this year because he gives Jackson State a dynamic runner, and he can catch the ball out the backfield. A dynamic runner, and he can catch the ball out the backfield. And it's taking more than one guy to bring him down every single time. Where Jackson State gets into trouble is when they take him out the game. They take him out the game, and other guys come in there and start fumbling. And other guys come in there and can't get any 2 yards in a cloud of dust. Whereas Savion was the only running back to really be effective. And then they started wearing on Campbell. All those big defensive linemen started getting tired with that high-tempo offense. It started getting tired. It started getting worn down. Then the Campbell big old offensive line started getting tired. Big number 75, getting frustrated, right? He's like 6'8", 370 pounds. He's over pushing around his own teammates. His teammates having to push him to get off the field because he was angry. You get what I'm saying? Now, someone says Aubrey Miller's the closer. I can see what you mean by that, O'Neal. I can see what you mean by that because Aubrey is a dog. Aubrey is playing on a different level. Now, the way for Aubrey to continue to elevate his draft status is there's a couple of plays in space sometimes that he misses. In a box, there's no linebacker. I'll take Aubrey up there with any linebacker in the country. In a box, you, me, like the Oklahoma drill, you versus me. I like Aubrey's chances. It's the plays in space against some of the shifty guys is when we see he kind of misses some of those tackles. Sometimes it's me being nitpicky. This is me being nitpicky on the number one defense in the country. So I have to call a spade a spade. But that is my only thing. Now, John Huggins has been playing out of his mind. John Huggins, and also you can get in here, call the number 727-731-8723. If you hate what I'm saying, if you love what I'm saying, call in, let me know. John Huggins has been balling out of control. I really, really like the play of John Huggins. I think John Huggins is someone that stock is on the rise. John Huggins is making plays in the backfield. John Huggins is breaking up passes. John Huggins is making tackles in space. John Huggins is balling right now. I'm really thoroughly impressed with the play of John Huggins. And it's not that I didn't think he couldn't do it, right? Like, it's not like I didn't think John Huggins was a baller. He's a transfer from Florida, so he's an SEC guy. He's someone who has experience at that level. But, man, has he been playing really, really lights out football. This defense as an overall unit. Now, if JSU wants to take that next step, you guys got mad at me when I said this. I said they get too pass happy. And then folks are like, oh, you got Shedeur. He's got a Heisman campaign, blah, blah, blah. And then Coach came out and said they get what? JSU gets too pass happy. And Coach comes out and says, what? We try to force feed Travis too much. Sometimes we just need to stick the ball in the stomach of Savion. And I agree. But see, that's the thing I really like about this JSU team is that they do a lot of self-reflection. They do a lot of self-reflection, and that is going to help in this game against Southern because essentially Southern's had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. Coach Dooley and those guys will say, hey, we had to prepare for VUL. They didn't prepare for VUL. They trotted the guys out there and they beat the hell out of VUL. That's what they're supposed to do, Virginia Lynchburg. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for Jackson State. They've had 2 weeks to really study the tape on Shedeur, to study the tape on Dallas because he's the main go-to target, to study the tape on Savion because he is the running back. And really what they've been studying is that JSU defense because Coach Dooley is an offensive guy. Coach Dooley is a super creative play caller. Coach Dooley has a first-year quarterback in Bashawn McCray, and Coach Dooley wants to be able to score points. Here's the thing. You can't beat the objective is the game is to score more points than the other team. And so the only way you can do that is what? If you score touchdowns. Because field goals is going to beat Jackson State. Field goals aren't going to beat Jackson State. So the only way you have a chance of beating them is to put the ball in the end zone. And how are you able to do that? Well, you have to get creative with the mobility of your quarterback. That's what Campbell was able to do on that first drive. You have to it's going to be hard to just straight up hand the ball off and run it because nobody's really been able to do that against Jackson State. And you can't be playing from behind because as soon as you start playing from behind is when the game gets ugly. Now, Marquand, I'm guarantee you it's going to be a blowout because this is what he likes to do. He likes to say it's going to be a blowout so I can come back and say, no, it's not. This is Southern. This is College Game Day. They have pride. The last game, now granted it's last year. These are two totally different teams. These are new coaching staffs. These are everything new. But they have pride in their team. They don't want to go out there and get embarrassed because the nation is going to be watching. And I said this on another video. Once again, you can call in and get in here, 727-731-8723, 727-731-8723. But I talked about this because let's set the record straight, guys, and hit that thumbs up button as you come in. We got a few folks coming in here. This game is on ESPN Plus. Now, listen to me and listen to me good. JSU, ESPN, whoever the hell needs to hear this. This game with College Game Day, Desmond Howard, Heisman Trophy, Pat McAfee and his millions of followers and fans, Reese Davis, the 2 million people that's going to be watching Saturday morning from 1400 Lynch Street, Jackson, Mississippi, both HBCUs, the human jukebox, the sonic boom of the South. All of these things are going to be highlighted. Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, Eric Dooley, Bashawn McCray, everybody that's going to be highlighted. If this Travis Hunter, can't forget about him, If this game looks anything like the product that we saw against Campbell, we ought to be ashamed of ourselves. I'm saying we, because if we didn't raise enough hell, meaning us, meaning the media, the fans, the alumni, anybody that gives a damn, if we didn't raise enough hell about the product that was aired over ESPN Plus airwaves, over the internet airwaves or whatever, if we didn't raise enough hell to get it changed this week, then that means we didn't do our job. Because the product that was telecast for the Campbell game was unacceptable. The product that was telecast for the Campbell game was unacceptable for a freaking JV high school game. That was unacceptable. If I went to a high school, if our JV tape looked like that, I would have been pissed. Freshman tape, 8th grade tape, Pee Wee Junior Varsity League. It don't matter. Pop Warner shouldn't be looking like what was aired with a college game for a homecoming that saw over 50,000 people in the stands, that had celebrities and movie stars and TV stars and directors and all kinds of stuff in a school that is a top 5 FCS program in the country right now. To have that displayed was unacceptable. And what made me even more mad about the fact that that quality was so piss poor was the fact that that game was supposed to be on HBCU Go. Now, if you guys haven't watched the game on HBCU Go yet, you're doing yourself a disservice. The product on HBCU Go is magnificent. The broadcasters on HBCU Go are magnificent. The feature pieces, the sideline reporters, the inside access, the scoreboard, the tickers, the graphics, the CG, the truck that they bring to every game. It's finger looking good. It's that damn good. And the fact that that game, with that homecoming, with that crowd, with those people in attendance, meaning celebrities, fans, and alumni, wasn't on HBCU Go, but instead was snatched from HBCU Go to be placed on ESPN is a damn shame. It is a damn shame. Is that because that's the telecast that we got when it should have been on a production that is flawless. Now, HBCU Go, for a brand new company or for a company that's fairly new, but it's the first year they're showing live games in the SWAC and that inked $100 million deal with the SWAC, HBCU Go has been magnificent. Magnificent. And the fact that that Campbell game, as great of a game that it was, defensive struggle, slugfest, with all those people that were there, both in the stands and on the sidelines and sitting in the movie star seats, the movie seats. The fact that that was the product that the folks at home had to watch was a damn shame, and ESPN ought to be ashamed of themselves. And if that is the product that we get, meaning us, the fans and the viewers, get after a College Game Day appearance, because think about it, and I want you guys to know this. It's not every game, but most games that College Game Day goes to are typically on ABC and on ESPN later that night. And Herb Street and Chris Fowler call those games. Typically, not all the time, but typically, Herb Street, Fowler call the game days at. That's why a lot of times, that's why Herb Street typically on games that game day when they're at a site, Herb Street doesn't give a pick because he is calling the game and he doesn't want to show favoritism, bias for a game that he's calling. Well, if you'll notice this week, watch when they're at JSU, Herb Street, now they're all going to pick Jackson State. Let's not act crazy. They're all going to pick JSU. But Herb Street is going to actually get a pick because he's not calling the game. Why? Because the game's on freaking ESPN Plus. So there's that. There's a little 2-cent nugget right there. But now folks will say, and I want to revert back to something a caller said earlier. They said, what is the impact that Jackson State, essentially what they're doing, has had not just on Jackson State, the school, but on HBCUs and on the city of Jackson. And then I went on this spiel about how Jackson State brought in $30 million to the city of Jackson last football season. This year, they hope to be on par, if not more than that this year, with all the tourism and all the traveling and stuff like that. But another thing that they've done talks about HBCU Go. Think about this. If it wasn't for Prime, if it wasn't for Jackson State, there would be no HBCU Go deal. There would be no Urban Edge Network HBCU League Pass deal. There would be none of that. There would be none of that. Don't take my word for it. Go back and watch Commissioner McClellan on his 60 Minutes. He said, since the entry of Deion Sanders to our program or to our conference, we've gotten more sponsorship deals. We've got new media rights deals. We've got new corporate sponsors, not just with Jackson State, not just with Prime, but with the overarching conference, right? The Celebration Bowl 2021 was the second most watched Celebration Bowl. It was the first one to sell out down at Mercedes-Benz Stadium this year, especially if it's a rematch between an potentially undefeated Jackson State team and a MEAC champion potentially being South Carolina State. That will be then trump last year's ratings, both on television and attendance in the stadium. Those are the impacts that is being made. College Game Day and their 2 million weekly viewers coming to Jackson State to feature and highlight JSU and Southern. Good Morning America coming to JSU and then taking the trip to FAMU this weekend. Would that have happened without the arrival of Coach Prime? I don't know. Now, the ABC News president is a FAMU alum, but still, we don't know. We don't know if that would have happened. We just, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are the impacts that are being made. These are the residual outcomes of having someone like Prime and having the success at Jackson State. Because another thing, Prime is who he is, right? Coach Prime he's magnetic, he's big time, he's kind of flamboyant, cocky, arrogant, whatever you want to call him. He is who he is. But if his team was sorry, like if Jackson State was getting all these players, but they were garbage, or if they just weren't a watchable product, we wouldn't be talking about them like this. If they didn't get clicks, we wouldn't talk about them. If they didn't have a product that was enjoyable, if they weren't winning games, winning championships, winning Coach of the Years, winning individual player awards, being number one in offense, being number one in defense, and all of the FCS, not just in HBCU football, not just in SWAC football, but in all of FCS, number one defense, number one yards per play, number one yards per game. We wouldn't be talking about them like this. They would be like, they would just be another run-of-the-mill team. But the fact that they do all the things that they do, all the people come out and see them the way that they do, and they are winning, they are a spectacle. They are something to come see. They are a must-watch. They are doing it unconventionally, right? They invite the cast of P-Valley. They have premium seating on their sideline with movie chairs, right? They embrace the top dog mentality. They're not underdogs, and they never claim to be underdogs. They embrace being number one. They embrace having the target on their back. They embrace everybody wanting to come see them. They embrace the fact that they are the attention getters, that they set the tone. They set the tone from the jump. From the way that they push out social media content, from the way that they talk about themselves, the way that their coach talks about them, right? So, like I said, if they were just some garbage run-of-the-mill team, we wouldn't be talking about them like this. We wouldn't care about what's happening down in Jackson, Mississippi. If they went 7-0, if they didn't go 11-2 last year, if they didn't win a SWAC championship, if their coach didn't win Coach of the Year, if their quarterback didn't win the Jerry Rice Award and up for the Walter Payton Award and making a Heisman campaign, we wouldn't talk about them like this. Tell me I'm wrong. There's the phone number. You can tell me I'm wrong if you think so. Let me get to some of your comments. You can tell me I'm wrong, though, man. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. If you think I'm right, call in, too. Said I would say this game is going to be a blowout, but two been looking a little off lately. I don't care if he's hurt or what. I don't think he's hurt. I don't know if I don't want to say the Heisman pressure kind of got to him. And it's not that it's pressure. It's that here's the thing. Both Coach Prime, Bartoloni, and Shedeur understand if he wants to be legit in the conversation of a Heisman, he has to put up numbers. If he wants to be in a legit in conversation of winning and being worthy and feeling worthy of being mentioned with a Steve McNair, then you have to put up numbers. And I think because of that, he was force feeding a little bit. He was trying his best to kind of force some of those passes during recent games. What's up, caller? You're on with Jeff. Hello. Oh, it looked like they bounced out. Okay. But yeah, so it's not, once again, it's not that I think Shedeur has regressed at all. I just think that Shedeur was trying to prove why he should be in the Heisman talk, trying to prove why he is worthy of all the hype and the accolades and the attention that he's getting. And that is not a bad thing. Shedeur, see, a lot of people forget, Shedeur is still a sophomore, right? Like, he's still a true sophomore. And this is still only his first year in this system. Like, this is still like he just came out on fire so much. You thought he'd been in the system for 5 years. This is his first year under his first time head offensive coordinator, first year in the system with new toys. Willie Gaines, he wasn't in the program last year. Dallas Daniels, he wasn't in the program last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, so two of his main weapons weren't even in the program last year. Savion Wilkerson, he wasn't in a program last year. It's the fact that they came out on fire made you forget that this is his first year in this system with first-year players, and there's gonna be bumps in the road. And damn it, Campbell is a good team. Campbell is a freaking good team. If you're just basing it off last week, Campbell has rocked a lot of heads this year. You seen how Campbell's putting it on North Carolina Central. They put it on North Carolina Central. They put it on a lot of teams. And one thing Campbell has been able to do the entire year, even in games they lost, besides the game that they played against an FBS team, is they've been able to score against every team except last week. Every game that they played, even in the games that they lost, besides the game against the FBS team, Eastern Carolina, they were able to move the ball and they were able to score except last week. Last week, they weren't able to score. Last week, they weren't, but outside the first drive and essentially their last drive, they weren't able to move the ball. It's a really good team over there, but that Jackson State team is really, really good. Another thing that I'm liking about JSU that won't bode well for Southern. First of all, Southern, I think they got a good chance of winning the Battle of the Bands. I think they got a good chance. The Human Jukebox, Southern Jags, if y'all in here, the Human Jukebox to this day is my favorite band in all of HBCU football. The Human Jukebox is real. Y'all can say what y'all want. The Human Jukebox is nasty when they get out there on that band. That's nasty. But another thing that isn't boding well for Southern that I'm seeing JSU do a lot of is they're playing a lot of corners, right? We talked about the fact that they go man to man. Why am I discussing bands? Because the bands matter. And I have a favorite. And my favorite's the Human Jukebox. But anyway, the corners, Tavion Beasley's getting a lot of burn. We saw a lot of Jalen Hughes this year. We've seen John Huggins play DB, safety corner. We've seen a lot of Herman Smith, Travis, Nugget. It's a lot of DBs getting a lot of burn. Shiloh working his way back into the lineup. It's a lot of DBs getting a lot of burn. That is going to help in the long run because, one, you're getting them great experience. All of your guys aren't going to come back next year. Some of them are going to matriculate their way to pro football, USFL, XFL, NFL. They're all a CFL. They're all going to some of them are going to matriculate their way up into the next level. But getting those guys like Beasley, like Jalen Hughes, getting Travis back, getting Nugget back into the mix, getting those guys into the action gives you depth and reliability from the guys, and you trust them to make plays when they're out there. Trust them to go out there and be able to cover a guy like a Shaq Davis, right? To be able to cover a guy that can make plays. And if a guy starts to get torched, right? If you swap him out, you get the next man in. Hey, you're not doing your job. You're not holding it down. Boom. We need to get another corner in there. Well, I have faith in this guy, whether it's a freshman like Beasley or Jalen Hughes or whoever. I have faith in this guy, Isaiah Bolden or whoever, to come in and make a play because he's been playing all year. And not just on special teams, but actually been playing defense all year. And so since I've gotten him reps in meaningful minutes in games that still matter, not just in a blowout situation, but in actual games that still matter, I feel comfortable putting him into the game in case the guy gets hurt. It's football. People get hurt. In case the guy gets hurt or in case the guy just ain't playing well. In case the guy's just getting torched, okay? And it's football. It happens. Every DB, if you play DB, you've gotten beat before. You've gotten beat multiple times. It's a part of playing the game. And so that's why I like seeing the Jalen Hughes, the Isaiah Boldens, the Tavion Beasleys rotating and getting in there with Travis, with Nugget, with all those guys, the John Huggins of the world, et cetera, et cetera. Really, really excited about that. You can call in 727-731-8723. 8723. I think we got someone on the line. Let me go ahead and answer this. Calling on with Jeff. What's going on? Hello.
Yo, Jeff, what's up? What's up?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much, bro. Like I had to call in real quick, bro. Now I feel you on them DBs, bro. I love them, but like it just sometimes that defense gets very like lethargic at times, and it just like them DBs especially. Like I said this on the 1400 club with Kenny and Zodum. I was like, bro, like them DBs, they get very lazy sometimes. Like I don't know if they just like I don't know, they get beat. You know, like that. I was a little disappointed that they, you know, that tight end is good, you know, for Campbell, but I was a little disappointed that they got scored on like the last couple minutes of the game. Like that's terrible. Like you got to stay focused. Like so I 100% like agree with you.
Nah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, man. I think sometimes you know, I don't know if it was fatigue or whatever the case was. I didn't like the last touchdown, but I think Coach summed it up. He was like, it would have looked nicer visually. But at the end of the day, they still had a dominant performance. I mean, they gave up a touchdown on the first drive of the game, and they didn't give up another point until the last drive of the game. So, I mean, that's something to hang your hat on.
Right, that's true too, and especially with just the threat was there, man. You felt it, man. I don't know, like if you was watching the game from start to finish, but man, you could just feel the tension of that game. Like that was a hell of a chess match. It really was.
Absolutely.
Hell of a chess match.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate
you.
I wanted, before you get out of here, I want to get your prediction on Southern. Give me a score prediction.
Shoot, well, man, that's what I was just about to say. My last thing is, well, two things I want to say. I want to see them use Travis more creatively, and I also want to see the offensive coordinator get more creative with his play calling. And also, I need to see more from Shedeur. Like that last game, I don't know if he was injured. He was kind of limping a little bit. I don't know. You know, he still played at an elite level. Like he didn't get sacked. I'm proud of that. You know, I want to see him get rid of the damn ball. Like, but no, he definitely played with a lot of poise. But I gotta see put some points on the board. And you just gotta, like, he's a very talented kid. But no, my prediction, I don't know if Malachi Watman gonna play, because Malachi Watman beat them by himself last year. If Malachi Watman plays, I'll say 30 to whatever. You know, I don't see. So Southern's good. Go. I don't know if you watched that Southern Alcorn game. Yeah. Oh my God, bro! Anybody listening? Go watch that Southern Alcorn game, dude. That game had the same tenacity that Tennessee versus Alabama did, and that's not me pulling y'all leg. No, it had the same tenacity. But bro, I don't hold you too long. Thank you for letting me call in, bro.
I'll say
30 to. Now I'll say 30 to 7.
30 to 7.
37.
Appreciate you, man.
All right,
appreciate you calling in. Be sure to call back again, man. Yeah, that Southern game, he was right about that. That was definitely that Southern Alcorn game had a whole bunch of points, man. You're on with Jeff. What's going on?
Hey, this is Zay from Phoenix, Arizona.
What's going on, Zay, man?
Question.
Yeah, what's going on?
I got a quick question. The way SC State is playing, do you think that they can get back to a Celebration Bowl?
Absolutely, without question. I think they've established themselves as the cream of the crop in the MEAC based off last year and based off this season. North Carolina Central was the team to beat in the MEAC until they got beat. They were the team to beat until they got beat, and South Carolina State was the team to beat them. So South Carolina State, all their losses, their starting off losses were out of conference. And so therefore they don't affect their conference record, which means they control their own destiny to get back to the Celebration Bowl. And since the MEAC doesn't have a championship game, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, that is true. That's all I had.
Appreciate you calling, man. Be sure to call back. Again, Yeah, man. So since they don't have it looked like we had a caller and then they dropped out of here. But since the MEAC doesn't have a championship game, you can call back. Caller, make sure to be sure to call back. But since the MEAC doesn't have a championship game, South Carolina State controls their own destiny. South Carolina State is looking at the finish line. There's only 5 teams in the MEAC. So that means you only play 4 conference games. And they just beat the best team, or was supposed to be the best team in the MEAC. And so therefore, they're looking at 3 games to the finish line. And if they handle their business in those games, and since they beat North Carolina Central head-to-head, they have a little wiggle room because they have the head-to-head win. So, like South Carolina State. And, they got some players over there. Shaq Davis that we spoke about. Corey Fields was a player that made some plays against Jackson State last year. Jablonski Green, BJ Jones, the linebacker. They've got some ball players, and they can attack. They can attack. And you're going to find out about that revamped JSU offensive line and how they're going to look if JSU handles their business, wins the SWAC championship, and finds themselves back in a Celebration Bowl. So, yeah, South Carolina State controls their own destiny moving forward. But because they only play 4 conference games, they have to play a lot of out-of-conference games, and they take since they play a lot of FBS teams, they take their lumps along the way. But by the end of the year, it happened last year. South Carolina State came into the Celebration Bowl 6-5. Like, they didn't have this crazy good record. They were only 6-5 on the year, and that is part of the reason. And JSU was 11-1, and that was part of the reason why so many people, and the fact they had Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, all them other people, but so many people picked JSU because South Carolina State's overall record wasn't very good. It wasn't. And they still came in there and won the game by 21 points. Get in here, 727-731-8723, 727-731-8723. So we got some scores, and put your score predictions in the chat. I'm about to take a look at the chat. 35-14, JSU is what we're thinking. JSU is a much improved team this year, more weapons on both sides of the ball. I agree. I completely agree with you, Jeffrey. Don't let the JSU football team get Oh man, so you said y'all might not win the game on the field, but y'all gonna win halftime. Is it Southern ain't gonna win the game on the field, but the human jukebox is gonna win halftime? I ain't putting that past them. Human jukebox is the real deal. It said 40-14. Oh, we got another caller calling in. Be sure to continue to call in, man. I'm taking all calls, man. You got 901. You got Memphis in the building. Caller, you on with Jeff. What's going on?
What's going on, Jeff? It's Gabriel Green from Memphis, Tennessee.
What's going on, Gabriel?
Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm originally from Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah. I'm originally from Jackson. So I guess one quick thing, two quick things. Jackson State probably going to beat Southern. I'd say 35-14.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 35-14.
Convincing victory.
And yeah. And so I saw your show like a couple of days ago, like a day or two ago. Now, what was this? About some of these PWIs, kind of like upset that College Gameday.
Yes. So I'm glad you said that, man. Appreciate the call, man. And I want to show. I forgot to show that. I've been meaning to show that, but I definitely want to show that. Yes, folks are upset that JSU is getting game day. So, like I said, typically game day goes to. They call themselves visiting some of the best like college atmospheres of the season. And I'm gonna go ahead and get you off, man. But I appreciate you calling in, man. Appreciate the call.
All right, man. All right.
But I am gonna show, man. Appreciate. But I am going to show some of the vitriol that is being thrown towards JSU. I got a lot of Kanye stuff on my stuff, man. I can't seem to escape it. But if you take a look at the JSU, let me go ahead and pull this up. And we already showed one thing on my YouTube channel. It's like, so you take a look. This is the College Game Day official post, right? And if you take a look at some of these comments, man, these comments are just now. I think College Game, they've been filtered out by so many. But if you go on this post, first of all, it's a ton, 2,300 re-quote tweets. And you see, for those folks mad about JSU getting so much attention, they're about to be more mad. And you see a lot of folks are upset that Jackson State is getting, if you scroll through this, and I don't know if we'll be able to find them because a lot of the good posts are circulating and finding their way towards the top. But a lot of folks were upset because they feel like there's some other big games in college football, and they don't like the fact that it continues to push the tide forward, right? If you're a casual of college football, if you're not someone that's not like drenchly into it, but you just watch College Game Day, you're going to see JSU on College Game Day. You're going to think like, because you know, when I see something new, when I see something naturally, you pick up your phone and you type in, what is JSU? What is Jackson State? What is Southern University? What is an HBCU? What is the human jukebox, the sonic boom of the South? You're having 2 million people, 2 million people. And out of that 2 million, there's going to be somebody who doesn't know what the SWAC is, somebody that doesn't know what an HBCU is, somebody that's never heard of Jackson State or Southern or whatever, that is now going to learn about what took place, learn that Jackson State has 4 NFL Hall of Famers, learn that Southern has a bunch of NFL Hall of Famers and a bunch of NFL greats, learn where Southern is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, learn where Jackson State is in Jackson, Mississippi, learn the history, the tradition, and see something that they like, and see something that's appealing, and see something that's really, really cool to them. And that is the allure. That is why this is so big. And that is why folks are mad. Because there's the thing. I'm going to give you a quick history lesson, man. We know we live in America, or most of us. Not all. Some of you guys are international. We live in America. We live in America where there's a system of white supremacy that has taken place. We've seen Jim Crow. We've seen slavery. We've seen race, anti-black racism, a ton of different stuff. And so a lot of part of that is economic deprivation. A lot of part of what makes up America is economic deprivation. And so one way to level the playing field, right now the playing field's like this, and so one way to narrow that gap and level the playing field is what? Resources. Well, where do you get resources from? Exposure. You get resources from exposure. You get resources from some of your most talented minds, talented scholars, biggest and brightest scholars, athletes, all of those things choosing to play for themselves and play for their people as opposed to playing for the folks that already have the riches. It's like the rich getting richer when the top scholars or the top recruits or the top whoever go to a Power 5 school. But it's investing back into your future, investing back into your community when the top scholars, the top athletes, the top coaches, the top celebrities, the top whoever invest back into their people, invest back into their program. So that's why College Game Day coming to Jackson State for Jackson State versus Southern, as opposed to a Jackson State versus a Campbell, which is a PWI, but instead coming for a Jackson State versus Southern is massive. It's a big deal. It's major. Yes, the whole world is going to see. And so for a lot of people I see on Twitter all the time, because I'm not an HBCU grad and I've never been one to pretend like I'm an HBCU grad. I've never been one to pretend like I went and lived this, right? Like I've been around black people my entire life. I'm from West Louisville. Like I get that. But getting that exposure, if a young me would have seen something like a Jackson State on College Game Day, because I watched College Game Day growing up, I watch it still to this day. But if a young me would have seen that, or a young me would have seen Jackson State when I was in high school or in a middle school or elementary school, maybe I would have made a different change or trajectory in life. You get what I'm saying? Like that's what the beauty behind it. That's why it's so massive. That's why it's so important, man. That's why I love everything about it, man. We got a few more minutes, man. You can call in here. We've been on here for an hour. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, folks. I'm going to read a couple of your comments, take a few more calls, and I'm going to get out of here, man. But you guys have been awesome. You guys have been awesome. Yeah, Kentucky. We do have Kentucky State. Yes, but that's another thing. Kentucky State, even in my home state of Kentucky, isn't promoted. It isn't. I didn't know what the SWAC was in high school. I didn't know what Kentucky State. I didn't know the tradition and history of Kentucky State and my high school and the public school system in the state of Kentucky in the city of Louisville. I didn't. I mean, it's just the truth. And that is how that's why the economics and the resources don't go to these schools, don't go to these universities, don't go to these programs because of the lack of promotion because of the fact that they are systematically, the structure is against them, right? I mean, folks talk about all they want. We talk about Brett Favre and how Brett Favre and the governor were able to collide and funnel a bunch of money to Southern Miss, while Jackson State, y'all telling me the city of Jackson has some of the worst roads in the state, and the whole city was without water, right? Clean drinking water for a little bit, right? So how is it that you can take money from the welfare system in the state of Mississippi and funnel that towards Southern Miss? Brett Favre, a multimillionaire, a guy who's made over $100 million in the NFL, funnel, money to Southern Miss, but y'all can't fix the roads in Jackson. You get what I'm saying? Like that, but that's called systematic racism, and I don't want to get into that. I already kind of have more than I normally do, but still, you get my point. You get my point. Put some scores over in the chat. I'm going to read a couple of more scores, man. Shout out to my boy Ellis Canes in the building. Shout out to Ellis, man. Put a couple of more scores in the building. I'm going to get up off here. You can call in. I'll take at least one more call if you want to. If not, I'm about to get out of here. We got a 35-20. So let me know in the chat. Is it supposed to rain in Jackson? Is it supposed to rain this game? Because the rain could play a factor. JSU wants to throw the ball all around the field. And if you have a torrential downpour, or if you had some bad weather, that could bode well for Southern. It could, because Southern wants to do a lot of quarterback runs. They want to try to get their quarterback out there on the edges and run the ball in creative ways, do some creative play calling, whereas Jackson State going to spread you out wide, and then they want to hand the ball off to Savion and create lanes from all the wide spread of the receivers. So it's supposed to rain. We got an 80% chance. 80% chance that it's supposed to rain. A lot of people nationwide haven't heard of JSU or HBCUs. That's why this is huge. Bring our players back home. Absolutely. Imagine if it wasn't just one Travis Hunter this year, but there were 4 different Travis Hunters, not necessarily meaning the player, but meaning 4 5-star recruits that chose to go to JSU or chose to go to Southern or Alcorn or Alabama State. The 2 5-stars, Quay Rusal and James Smith, were at the JSU versus Alabama State game. They're homecoming down there in Montgomery. What if those 2 chose to go to Alabama State? How big would that be for the SWAC if 2 5-stars from Montgomery chose to go to Alabama State? That would be massive. That would be huge. That would lead every sports talk show, Undisputed, First Take, Sports Center, FS1. It'd lead all of them if 2 5-stars chose to go to Alabama State. Just like when Travis chose to go to Jackson State, it led every single podcast, both big and small. Both big and small, led every single sports talk show, both big and small, both with positive reinforcements and the negative ones. Doug Gottlieb. You get what I'm saying? Like, just imagine how big that would be. So someone said 80% chance. Someone says 40% chance now. Okay, so 40s. Hopefully it doesn't rain at all, man. I'd love both teams on an even playing field with no weather conditions, but you got to play football the way you got to play it. You got 42-12, JSU boom coming. 0 in the 5th quarter. I don't know, man. I think the human jukebox is going to win that one. That's just my opinion, though. 45-13, JSU. We got 27-10 if it rains, 42-10 if it don't. The SWAC is surrounded by water. It won't change nothing, not even the 5th quarter. I guess so, man. I want to see them get more creative. I think the JSU play calling could be more creative. That was I saw some of that. I think you guys underestimate how good Campbell is, though. I think Campbell's just a really good team. And you struggled a lot on offense because Campbell was just that freaking good. Looking out and rain all weekend. Let's see. I seen some huge recruits at JSU homecoming. These guys were like 700, according to the school, 700 recruits and another 500 this weekend. Boy, December is coming. And meaning December, I mean early signing day. Early signing day is going to be big for Jackson State as it is every year for every team. Still without water in some parts. That's unfortunate, man. I hate to hear that. They don't have a chance. JSU is a superior team. No, if there's a will, there's a way. You always got a chance. You always have a chance. Oh, it looks like you always have a chance. I think. What's going on, man? Calling back. Hello.
Yeah, my bad. I had to call back in. What's up? I had to call back in. I was waiting to see if anyone was going to call in, but I just want to speak on that college game day thing real quick.
Yeah, go for
it.
Man,
I think it's just a sensational thing to see, because I said this, I was like, it seems like not enough wealthier Black people are investing back into the Black community. You know, like they get their money and they get on about their business. And it's just nice to see, you know, people starting to make contributions to Jackson State. And, you know, I would like to see people make contributions to FAM, you know, Grambling, you know, South Carolina State, you know, et cetera, et cetera. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily just be about Jackson State. And that's what Coach Prime is trying to say. He's like, hey, yeah, look, like, you know, we need money. Send us money.
Absolutely.
But it's not just about us. You know, it's not just about us. And I respect that, man. It's just sad, you know. I'm so glad that we kind of passed what happened with Coach Jackson, last week, what happened, in state. But yeah, man, it's just like, bro, you should commend people for trying to bring more attention, because I'm not gonna lie, you know, I knew a handful of HBCUs, but I didn't know a lot. I didn't know all of it I know now. Absolutely. You know, I wasn't following Hampton. I wasn't following like a few schools. But anyway, I just want to say the thing about College Game Day. I think it's a sensational thing because I know Shannon tries to do coverage on Shador and on Jackson State when he can, and they'll try to squeeze it in, but it's never a full second. It's always like half of a second. Like they'll talk about a little bit of it, and then
I see what I know what you're talking about. I peeped that. Yeah.
Yeah, bro, for real. And also, man, it was just crazy. The commentary is, he'll be at another school next year. He'll be at another school next year. Like, they're consistently saying that, like, bro, like, why can't you just appreciate, what he's doing for, Jackson State? If anything, if worse comes to worse, I wouldn't mind if Jackson State went to a bigger conference. What do you think about that?
Yeah, hey, man, I appreciate you calling in, man. But I think that I don't think Jackson State, let me go ahead and say this, and I'm going to pull up something because Trayvon made me think of something with his with what he said. He talked about all the folks expecting Prime to leave. Now, we know this is a thing, but this is something I wanted to show just based off what he just said, talking about the whole Prime leaving. This is RJ Young, and I love RJ Young, man. He's a national columnist, or he's a YouTuber, and he's got a national podcast with Fox Sports 1, but it's like, where will Deion Sanders be coaching next year? You've seen all the propaganda being put out by ESPN about him going to Auburn, about Paul Feinbaum commenting, and we've broken that down and why they want some of that stuff to happen. If you don't know, go watch some of my old videos. But ESPN has contracts with the ACC and with the SEC, and so they want Deion Sanders to be in the ACC or the SEC. They never push him being in the Big Ten, but they want him to be at Georgia Tech or at Auburn or somewhere in the SEC. And because of that, because they own the media rights to those conferences, and they put those conferences on ABC, they put those conferences on ESPN, they put those conferences on the SEC network. They don't put those conferences on ESPN Plus. You get what I'm saying? Like they damn sure won't put them on ESPN Plus if Deion Sanders is at the school. So, and you have RJ Young, who works for Fox Sports, and they have a vested interest in seeing Deion Sanders somewhere outside of the SWAC. Because guess what? Fox Sports don't own any media rights with the SWAC. They own media rights with who? The Big Ten. So you've seen Fox Sports push the narrative about Deion Sanders going to a Big Ten school. And so you're going to continue to see this. And the reason why is because of the way your coach, who he is, the celebrity that he is, what he's able to do on the recruiting trail, and the fact that he keeps winning. They wouldn't be talking about Deion Sanders going somewhere else if he wasn't winning no football games. And so, and what Trayvon asked, he went on to ask, and this is all on my Twitter at JLightsy7. You can follow me on Twitter, but he asked, I think Jackson State can move conferences. No, they can't move conferences. And here's why. First of all, there's certain stipulations that you have to do to move from FCS to FBS. Now, Jackson State checks off a lot of those boxes, but I think if you leave everyone else, leave them behind, you're going to hurt the entire product. You're going to hurt the entire movement. You're going to hurt what you set out to build. I'm not saying that that's not something that could possibly happen 5 years down the line, but as of right now, you can't do that because you're still laying the foundation. What JSU is doing, what Coach Prime is doing, what the SWAC is doing is still in its infancy. See, things have happened so fast and have happened so quickly, and certain stars have blown up so fast that we forget this thing is still in its infancy. This thing, like when you start a business or when you jump into something new, you're not at your peak in year 3. right? Prime's not even in year 3. He's only in year 2. Technically, he was hired in 2020, so he's still technically in year 2. But you're not in your peak in year 2 and year 3, right? You're all systems are gonna be going by year 4, by year 5. Then that's when we see the machine. But everything has happened so fast for the SWAC. Everything has happened so fast and been kind of expedited because of Deion Sanders and the success that JSU has had. But the reason why I say you're going to see more of the peak of the SWAC and the getting up there in that upper echelon when you see Hugh Jackson get things going in Grambling, when you see Coach Willie Simmons continue to have the success that he's having at FAM. If Bethune is able, not Bethune, is Pine Bluff is able to go out there and hire a coach with some notability, a coach that's able to turn that program around. That is when you're going to see the SWAC continue to elevate. It's still in its infancy. If it was a baby, like growing in a woman's body, it'd be an embryo. I hope I said that right. It'd be an embryo, right? Like, I hope I said that right. Women don't kill me. But you get what I'm saying? Like, it's still very, very small. Still very, very small. But this thing is growing so big. You've seen a $100 million deal from HBCU go. You've seen College Game Day at Jackson State, or you're going to see it. You've seen Good Money America at JSU and now going to FAMU. You're still in your infancy. You're still a little bitty baby. And it's going to continue to grow and build on top of that. Next, once this season goes through, now you got to get those camera fixed, whether it's at Jackson State or at Grambling or wherever. When the ESPN Plus, that's the next step. You got to get your media day fixed up, because we've seen what the MEAC did, all their state-of-the-art digital setup, and then the little flag in the background of the SWAC. You got to get that set up, get that fixed. Certain things have to continue to happen. But these are things that happen over time. These are things that have to continue to progress. You're selling out the Celebration Bowl. You got to continue to sell out your stadiums, not just on homecoming. I repeat, you have to continue to come to games and support your teams and watch them on TV, get the clicks, get the views, get the ratings, and come to the games, not just on homecoming. So there's that. I want to make sure you guys understand that. And that is how you continue to build this thing up. I'm not saying you're going to be the SEC overnight. I'm not saying you're going to be the ACC overnight. I'm not saying you're going to be the Big 10, the Big 12, the Pac-12 or whatever overnight. But the more you continue to do, the more you continue to contribute, the more you continue to donate, the more you continue to hold yourself and your alumni base accountable, the more benefits you will continue to reap as a fan and as a supporter of your said university. You know what I'm saying? So that is part of the Marquand. We sell out the rest of the year. Well, I want to see those attendance numbers, because y'all was pretty deep at homecoming. I expect y'all to be pretty deep for game day. I expect y'all to be pretty deep for Southern. I expect y'all, if y'all host the SWAC championship, I expect you to be pretty deep for that. You dig? So that's what I'm hoping to see, Marquand. I hope you're ready. Man, appreciate you guys. I'm going to look at a few more of your comments, man. He said, Hugh ain't winning ish. There, I said it. Hey, I don't know, man. Don't count out Coach Hugh, man. Hold on. I'm about to put my Grambling stuff on right quick. Don't count out Coach Hugh. Don't count out Julian Calvez. Don't count out Maurice Washington. They're a young team. They play like 30 freshmen. This is a new team. It's a rebuilding year. This is, JSU had their spring season where they lost a bunch of games and kind of learned about themselves and had a ton of roster turnover the next year. This is Coach Hugh's spring year. Like how Deion had, Coach Prime had his spring year. This is Coach Hugh Jackson's spring year. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, give him some time. You feel me? Well, we talk about the water problem and think it's a funny joke. Yeah, that's not funny. No, that's not funny. That's not funny at all. Not having clean drinking water is not funny at all. There's nothing to joke about that. There's nothing to laugh about that. But it's a bunch of, it's a bunch of them making those kind of jokes. You feel me? Yeah, give Hugh some time. Exactly. Give Hugh some time. We sold out homecoming, just us. No visitors, no other band. Hey, that's pretty impressive, big dog. I ain't gonna cap. That's pretty impressive. Juice, I'm right there with you. You do need Hugh to do well. You need Willie Simmons to continue to do well. And you need, you know what I'm saying? You need all the other coaches. You need Connell Maynor to get back on the right track. You need Terry Sims to continue to build his program. You need all of these guys to do well. You need Coach Bubba McDowell to continue to build up his program. Coach McNair to get his program back right. Like, you need all of them to do well. Absolutely. Coach McKinney, all of these guys. Y'all just keep trusting in Dooley and playing high school. Hey, man. Dooley has some creative, man. He is super, super creative as an offensive coach. I'm not going to act like he ain't. He is super creative as an offensive coach, and he's got some players on the defensive side of the ball. Imagine JSU and Grambling back in their glory days. That's how you're going to continue to grab the nation. Because no offense, JSU fans, y'all can be mad at me all you want. Grambling has the biggest. Grambling is the most known SWAC school outside of, before Coach Prime arrived to Jackson State. Grambling was the most known SWAC school and probably still is the most known SWAC school. Now, Jackson State, y'all starting to change the tide. It's starting to, you feel me, starting to flip. But Grambling name still holds weight out here in these streets. So don't get it twisted. And if Coach Hugh continues to bring in some top dogs, don't get it twisted, big dog. Like, you feel me? Coach Hugh, he's probably upset the Art Browse thing fell through. That was a desperate move a little bit, but he's kind of probably upset about that. Coach Hugh, I think, is going to bounce back in a major way next season. I really want to see Coach Dancy get them boys right. I thought they'd be a lot better than they are this year. I'm going to just be honest. I said Texas Southern wouldn't finish because the two teams that were picked to finish last in each division in the SWAC were Texas Southern and Valley. And I said Texas Southern nor Valley would finish last. Well, Valley's going to finish last. I was wrong about that one, but I was right about Texas Southern. So shout out to Texas Southern. Grambling in a few years is going to be a problem. I completely agree with you. I got to give Q a few recruiting classes. I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. What do you say? What is your opinion about UAPB opening and Terrence Graves' last interim? Possibly. He's going to get a chance the rest of the season. I would like UAPB. Now, granted, it is in Arkansas, so it's not the most luxurious, attractive place to go coach, right? But I would love to see them just put their bid in with some guys that are well-known. Put their bid in with some guys, think unorthodox, think outside the box. Ashley Robinson thought outside the box and casted a big fish, reeled it in, he played with it, yanked it in, and pulled into Deion Sanders. Now, granted, there's only one Deion Sanders in the world, but be aggressive, like how JSU was. JSU was aggressive in their pursuing of Deion Sanders. They pulled him in, and it's changed their lives. It's changed everybody in their program's lives. It has. I mean, it just has. So you got a UAPB, you got to be aggressive with the hire. Grambling was aggressive with the hire, went out and got a Hugh Jackson. You got to be aggressive. So, not to say that before Hugh Jackson, Grambling tried to get Ed Reed. I talked about that on this show. So you got to be aggressive when you're trying to hire somebody and bring in someone that's a top level, top dog. What's going on? You're on with Jeff. Hello. Oh, they left. Well, let me go ahead. That must be my cue, man. That is my cue to get up out of here. But I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Once again, my name is JeffLightsyJr. with Victory Formation. I think we have an announcement coming very soon, but I'll let you guys know more. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Peace.